Hello YouTube and friends. Currently we are looking at localhost 3000 where the ReactJS application is running. As you can see, employee application with ReactJS and Nodejs, which is a MERN stack here, which uses the MongoDB as I explained before. And here is the add task. When we click the add task, a model will be called for. And then if you click outside anywhere the model, it will be dispersed. And then similarly for edit, you can edit it. So let's go through the functionality first before I go into the coding. Okay, so first of all, this is using what is called ReactStrap CSS library, which is very handy one. Quickly you can do something to show your customer or client. So this may not be so beautiful CSS, but this drives in, or this nails down the requirement that we need to do in order to achieve a MERN stack application. Okay, so let's do an add task here. So I am purposefully doing a delete as the name, delete me, and then I put delete at gmail.com so that I can show you the delete. Salary is, let's say, 5001, and I save it. So the delete is already come here. So let's see it is reflected in our database or not. As you can remember, if we refresh here, you will see the delete me is here. So let's go again back to the application and let's delete this. Delete me is deleted, and the page gets reloaded once we delete it automatically. And so we will be able to see in the MongoDB the delete me has gone, right? So now let's go for the edit functionality. Let's change this person name from April to June, right? So I'm changing only the name here. The email and salary remains the same. So you can see June can 2 has come already. So if I want to change the email, I can do so. So one at a time I can do, or everything together in one shot also I can do. So that is the edit functionality, and add functionality I have showed you, delete functionality also. We will be going back to our code now. So let's go into our code. I did not do the view implementation because you can already see this here, but of course I leave it as an exercise for you guys to do the view implementation. You can put one more view here so that the data populates in the model and it is shown to the customer or the user. Okay, so let's go into the coding. So here you can see basically, let's go through the structure first. That's the most important thing, right? As usual, we got app.js here, which is calling an employee component, which is inside the components folder. Then we can go to index.js where we are importing bootstrap CSS. That's the most important thing here. And then you can see here in the model, let's look at the model, which is inside the component. We are importing ReactStrap with all these functionalities: model, footer, form group, input label. So these are all the handy components that ReactStrap brings to us. Okay, so let's go back to the employee. So you know that app is calling the employee. So employee in turn is calling the model. As you can see, model is being imported here. So one important thing here is that we are importing Axios, which is a library to call HTTP functions or HTTP calls. And then we are having API URL, which is application URL. So where it is? It is inside the APIs folder. And I have put backend port as 5000. So let's say tomorrow we use some other, let's say Laravel. It usually runs at 8000, right? So you can change it to 8000, and then API URL automatically is configured as 8000. So we export API URL and then we import it into the employee component. So purposefully I did this exercise or this episode as a component based, class based component. Okay, Usually many React tutorials are nowadays explaining only functional components. So it is better you know the class-based components, because in case, let's say in your professional job, you may need to do any translation of a class-based component which was written many years ago to a functional-based component. So this type of understanding will help you. So let's go through the class-based component. So employee is extending component which is coming from the React, and then we have as usual a constructor and the super props, and then we will start to initialize the state. So this dot states, that's how we initialize it. Employee list is empty, model is false, active item is set to null, where we have name, email, and salary respectively as per the fields here, name, email, salary, and also our schema in Node.js, which you could have remembered if you have gone through my first episode. So if you did not go through first episode, you can go to it. Please subscribe to my channel and like it as well. Okay, so let's go into the code. So this is the active item is being initiated as name, email, and salary, and component did mount is nothing but same like use effect hook for React functional components. So component did mount, we will do this refresh list. So what does this refresh list do? It is a function which calls employees, and if you remember, employees call is for get me. You can see employees. If I click this, you can see there are three data here and API employees. So let's go into here. You can see here, where is the API? It is inside the declaration. We have put API here. So that is why we are not doing another API typing here. So this is until API, then we put slash employees. That makes it more handy and readable, right? So everywhere we want to call it, we just bring in the API URL. And then this special method where we call through string and variable together in JSX is using what is called string literals, which is backticks, two backticks, okay? So, and then response will be loaded into state as employee list. As you can see, employee list was initially 0 or nothing, empty array, and then response data gets loaded into that. That is what this refresh list is being doing. Once the component gets mounted, immediately this refresh list is called and employee list is set. If there is any error, it will be catched with this error command. And toggle is nothing but the model is being toggled, the state of the model is being toggled. As you can see, model is false, so toggle is doing a not this state model, which is a conjugate or negating the model state. So handle submit, this is one function which we will go through later. So we will go through easiest functions. So you can see handle delete is very easy. Actually I can do this. Actually, I can do this API URL for all these guys. So let's do it. Backticks API URL slash API. So we can replace this, and then here we can replace. And of course, we have to replace it by backticks. Save it, and then one more is here. Okay, here API is not needed as I explained before. So let's check again. API URL slash employee, employee add, employee ID. Okay, so everything is already taken care of. So let's save it. Now handle delete. Let's look at the delete. So it's just calling the API URL with the employee and with the item ID. So guys, here you must remember MongoDB is always using underscore ID, unlike like Laravel or any MySQL, for example. So here you can see that we are using underscore ID. If we did not use underscore ID, then everything can go havoc, and then you may think that the application not working, but actually the ID should be passed as underscore ID, which is coming from the MongoDB. So once we delete this, immediately on the response we will refresh the list. That is why when we delete, we will be seeing the refresh list again. Then what happens? Create item. Create item, I will explain to you here. Create item is nothing but add this item. So add this item, we are having empty data, right? So for example, if I go and change, let's say the salary as, let's say 2000, and I save it, then you can see here when I add it, the salary is initial value of 2000. So we have to set it as blank so that we get a blank form. That is why we are doing this. Then I think it is add task. So let's find add task, Control F, add task. So we had to change it to add employee. That is better, right? So if we look at it, add employee. Okay. So now we are back to handle delete we covered, and then now we are in create item. We are setting the state to active item as item and model as this. And then what happens? Edit item also, we will get item from the UI. The item data we'll get from the UI. I will explain to you shortly. So then we set the state. It is almost like create item. Edit and create item is almost the same, but edit item takes the item as the input, whereas create item is like a new data, and so we initiate it as new or blank. So now we'll just close this render items. We will go to render, which is of course for a class-based component, we'll have a render followed by return. That is the structure, and then add employee. So on click. So when we do an on click here, let's see here an action, add employee. This is the on click function. Immediately the model is called. How is it called? Let's see. We will go to create item. So we explained here already. So when we create item, when we clicked it, it comes to the function, and the function call is made. All is set to blank, and then the state is set to active item, and the model is set to true. That is why we are able to see it. Then what happens? We add the employee, right? And then followed by that, we have this render items. That is the next markup that is coming here. So we will go to the model later. So this dot render item. So let's go into that. So we are looking at render items. Here you can see that there are two main things happening. One is edit the item and another is delete the item. So edit item is using edit item as a function, and delete item is using handle delete. So then the thing is that render items is also rendering through the new items. So where is the new items coming? It is the employee list. So new items is mapped through, and then we have item name, item email, and salary, which is what we are seeing here. And then followed by the edit and delete. So edit and delete, as I told you, will call the respective functions. So that is how the whole setup is running. So finally we will come into the models. So the model, what it is doing, model is coming as the last UI component. So what happens is here, the model is getting three props. Active item is the data that the client is modifying, and toggle is nothing but toggle the model, and on save is handle submit. So once the handle submit goes in as a props, then we will see here what is happening. So you can see here that this is a custom model that takes in props, and active item is the local state here, that you must understand. Local state is active item that is being set as the props active item, which is the active item state here. So this is the true data that is coming into the model. That is what we have to understand. And then handle change is nothing but whatever we changed on the model inputs that is being captured here, and it is being set as active item. So once the active item is set, finally the handle submit, you can see here, will happen. The handle submit is further when we click this save, on click on save, then what happens is that on save, finally the data is being saved from the model, which we receive from the model, into the employee, and then the save happens. So that is a bit complicated if I keep on explaining to you, but you can see it in action here. So there are three inputs, as you can see. For example, I click here, edit. There are three inputs, right? So that is what we are seeing here, three inputs for email, everything, and then finally the button on click will do an on save with this set state active item. So active item is being set here, and hence the overall process happens. So hopefully my explanation was useful to you. Basically, you can understand that model is the child of employee, and model takes props, which are listed here. As you can see, three props: active item, which is the active data which we are changing, toggle, and on save. Then all the dynamics happen that way. So handle submit is here, as you can see. Handle submit, what it does, that's the most important thing we need to understand. If the item had an ID, that means it is telling, if you have an ID, you use the put command. That means you update it. If not, you use the post command and create a new item or a new employee. That is how this is taken care of. This is I would say that handle submit is heart of the system, because it is checking whether the ID is existing. If existing, it uses a put command. If it does not exist, it uses a post command to create a new item. That is how the whole setup is made working. Course is a very important thing that we need to do. You can see here that I have modified a bit here. App use cost origin is 3000. So where does the 3000 come from? The 3000 is here. This is the front end. So we have to specify the front end origin in our Node.js application through this method by using app use cost. So in order to use this cost, we have to import cost by const cost equal to require cost, and we have to install the package cost here. You can see here 2.8.5 has been installed. So once you install, then only this will happen properly. The data will be transferred from the front end to the back end. If not, you will get course error. So please be aware of this and install the course package and do a setting like this. And this will smoothly transfer data from the front end to the back end and then to the database and back and forth like that. So thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe to my channel if you like it. Put thumbs up button, and thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye bye.